Welcome to The Direct Line, the official podcast of OADSP, with host David Rustio. If you have questions or would like to be a guest, please reach out to podcast@oadsp.org.
I'm David Rustio, and today I'm talking with Tony Thomas. Welcome to the show, Tony.
Hi, Dave. How you doing?
I'm doing great.
Nice to be here.
Well, it's nice to see you. It's been a busy day, a good day. I've seen you on stage. He's not an opera dancer or singer.
I'm glad of that. You're glad of that, too.
You know, they applauded that when that was announced. So how are you today?
I'm doing fine. How are you doing?
I'm doing good. So, Tony, tell us about yourself.
Oh, gosh. Well, I've been involved with the Ohio Alliance for Direct Sport Professionals.
Oh, well, we will in a little bit, but we want to know about Tony.
Oh, about me. Well, I'm a licensed social worker.
Okay.
I have worked in the developmental disabilities field since 1980,
Okay.
and I have been working at the same agency.
See, you're back to work.
We're back to work, yes.
Tony.
Yeah.
Tony.
Oh, what's going on with time? Well, I recently retired. The day after I retired, I actually moved the next day to New York, north of New York, about an hour and a half north of New York, where my daughter and her boyfriend we have 3 kids.
Okay.
5, 2 and a half, and a newborn. And what I'm doing now is helping them take the kids to school and picking them up and helping, basically doing the thing that a grandparent does today.
Yeah, which is cool because then
You get to send them home. They can spend a good amount of time with us, but I can always send them home and say, your mom will deal with that. So
like a baseball team.
I love watching baseball. Now that I moved to New York, I can't stand watching the Yankees or Mets games, but I try to.
Now, which kind of sport ball is that?
That's baseball.
That's baseball. Okay.
Yeah, so I really love baseball, and I really miss being able to watch Cleveland Guardians games on TV.
They don't show them,
I'd have to pay a lot of money to watch them.
but is it not worth it?
It is and it isn't. I mean, I can catch this at night. That's usually what I do. I still follow them and still love remembering days when I would take sometimes the kids to the baseball games. When my kids were younger and growing up in Cleveland, we would go to the games, take some of their friends. My wife and I would pack up a whole bunch of kids in the car and take them to at that time, an Indians game, but now a Guardians game. And we would go to about 4 or 5 games throughout the year. Sometimes it'd just be my wife and I, and then sometimes we would take a whole group of kids, and then sometimes we'd just take our kids. Such a fun place, a fun stadium. They had a great many memories there.
So when you go to ball games, are you in the section private lounges?
No, no. We're sitting in the bleachers sometimes. We're sitting in the nosebleed seats.
Well, you burn off every calorie you can getting to those seats.
It's like a marathon.
Now, speaking of that, you're an athlete.
Yes, an athlete of sorts.
Well, talk about it.
I mean, I'd love to bike. I have 5 bikes. They all do different things. No, not a trike. They only have 2 wheels, Dave. But probably in the future, I'll have a trike. Who knows? But
Why
right
not?
now, I have 5 bikes. They all do different things. But what I'd like to do is I just like to be riding in open air, sometimes riding with a group, sometimes riding by myself. Like I rode last night by myself and had a great ride just by myself. But then this Sunday, I'll go out for a ride and it'll be with a group of people. And there's a social aspect to it when you're riding with a group of people. At the same time, you're also getting a lot of great exercise. So
When you say social, are you having conversations when you're biking?
yeah, you can have some conversations while you're biking, but you're having some conversations just getting to know people and talking with people and talking about the bike route, maybe talking about your day.
But you're not yelling this.
No,
Are you?
No, you're not. You're just casual talking back and forth on the ride. And sometimes it's a little bit hard to hear. If it's a windy day, you might not be able to talk as much because you can't hear the other rider when they're talking, sometimes with a high wind. But
Mm.
normally, you can pretty much hear any conversation going on between bikers, even if you're going very fast.
So you ride next to the person whose voice annoys you most on the windy days, right?
That's right. Yes. Always make sure you're next to the person you don't like
On the windy
on the
days.
windy days. Yes.
And then everybody else you want to hear. Now, do you also run, jog, walk?
I do some swimming. I love to
Okay.
swim. I like open water swimming. Before I moved up to New York, I think last year I swam in Lake Erie about 30 times. Just did a lot of great open water swimming and love open water swimming.
Okay.
But I also swim in a pool. and it's great exercise. I would recommend it, especially if you've got bad knees or maybe you're recovering for something. I think swimming there's nothing more relaxing to me than swimming, because when you're in the water, you are by yourself at that point.
Sure.
You can't really talk to anybody else. And what you're doing is you are pushing yourself through water, which is considerably denser than air when you're biking. And so you're really working out and doing a great workout that's not only a workout, but it's a therapy session.
Okay.
That makes sense. You're clearing your mind. When you're in the water, you can relax a little bit more, and there's not the annoyance of any conversation or anything around you. But it is more of a solitary sort of sport in that regard. Even if you can swim with other people, it's still a solitary sport.
And where do you swim?
I swim. There's a couple pools. One, I swim in New York. Now that I joined a gym up there, there's a pool up there. And I also found a great small little lake in north of New York City where I can actually go and do open water swimming.
And do the fish nibble at your toes?
No, they don't. No. That's a myth. The fish don't bother any swimmer in the water. They never have.
Okay.
Now, I can't say that all the time because you hear about shark attacks and things like that if you're ocean swimming. That's a rare occurrence.
You could probably take on a shark.
I could. Yeah, right.
I'm not saying you could win. But...
I'm not saying that you take them on, right? Yeah.
So, Tony, what are you doing now for a living? Because you retired.
Right. Yeah. Just recently retired about 6 or 7 weeks ago. Yeah. It's been kind of strange retiring because I was working for 26 years on one job and then all of a sudden you're not.
Tell us about that job first, and then we'll talk
Oh.
about your retirement.
An agency that I work with, Welcome House in Cleveland, Ohio, great organization. It was small when I got there in 1999 and it's now a giant. And it's really grown in the right way, meaning that we took on a lot of new projects and a lot of new ideas, but we didn't take on too many things that really impacted our mission. So we kept true to the mission, which is good. And I tell people I work with some of the greatest professionals in the industry and still feel that way. It has been professionally and personally a very rewarding career.
Now, you're done with all that.
I'm done with all that, yes.
So what are you going to do now? I mean, you're going to take up canasta? You're going to...
Well, I said that I had 3 things I wanted to do in retirement. Play chess a lot more, okay? And it's not like checkers. No. It's a little bit more complicated, but the same kind of fun. And I learned how to play it as a kid. Then I taught my sons how to play it.
Are they beating you now?
Oh, they could beat me hands down. But I wanted to recommit to learning how to play chess better. The other thing I wanted to do was play bridge.
Okay.
Now, it's kind of bizarre, but
Yeah.
when I was growing up, I had this friend of mine that I went to his house a lot, and his family used to play all kind of card games, pinochle, bridge, poker, euchre, all these kind of card games. And I sort of remember how to play the others, but bridge is a little bit more challenging. I like to find a bridge club and join it and try to figure out how to play that again. And then the third thing was to do some consulting work.
Okay.
And
So you can consult me on how to become taller.
no, Dave, I can't consult with you.
It
No,
wouldn't impact my height, but
I could tell you how to be taller, Dave.
Okay. all right. That saddens me a little bit.
I'm sorry. I hate to disappoint you, but I got to be a realist. But
Kind of consulting.
consulting human services, taking the work that I've done over the last 40 years in the DD field and continuing to help organizations get better. So to consult with organizations about getting better and being better at what they're doing.
And you have a success story behind you, actually starting as a smaller organization. And then, now you're kind of, I'm not going to say behemoth, but it's a big organization that you just left. And
It's big. Yeah.
that you were there for all of that.
Yeah. 26 years of it. Yes. Yeah. And the funny thing about that organization is that it's a 53-year-old organization, and it only had 2 executive directors prior to my recent retirement.
Okay.
First executive director came in, he retired, then I got hired, and I stayed for 26 years, and we just hired our third in 54 years now, executive director. How about that?
That's pretty remarkable.
It is. It's remarkable today's nonprofit world, I think. But it's just been a great story.
So, Tony, how on earth did you get in over your head? I mean, into this field?
Well, it's kind of a funny or not so funny story, but when I graduated from high school here in Columbus, Ohio, my parents wanted me to go to a small liberal arts kind of college.
Okay.
And I said, no, I really want to go to Ohio State University.
The
Ohio State University, yes. And I really wanted to go there because as a kid growing up in Columbus near the campus, I knew every square inch of the campus. So I wanted to go there. So I did. And when I graduated from high school, about 10 or 12 people that I graduated from high school with went to OSU as well. Okay. Well, I didn't see many of those 10 or 12 people, but I saw one person in particular a lot. He was almost in every class of mine. If you think about a college campus with 40 or 50,000
Sure.
students, that's kind of
That's
rare.
remarkable.
But he said to me once when we were sophomores now, Tony, I took this class in the College of Education. If you take it, you're going to get extra credit, extra hours credit, which was,
Sure.
why not? But all you have to do is sign up in the College of Education to be a teacher's aide in a school. So I signed up next quarter. I just signed up, put the same name in as a school he said to put in. So I did it. And what I didn't know is I show up at the school with 4 or 5 other OSU students that are going to be teacher's aides. And it's a school for kids with cerebral palsy. They had 50 some kids in this special school, separate school. Okay. So this would have been back in the early 80s. And all these kids, half of them were in wheelchairs. They all had some sort of significant physical challenge, every one of them. And I remember having the orientation with the school principal. And she says, got any questions? I raised my hand. I said, what do we do with these kids? I said, well, if they raise their hand, that means they want to go to the toilet. And you take them to the toilet, make sure you wipe their bottoms really well. So day one, that's the instruction I got. No first aid CPR, nothing. It was like, if they raise their hand and shake their fist, they want to go to the bathroom. So I ended up being a teacher's aide 3 days a week in this special school, all these kids with CP. And I was cursing my friend constantly in that first week because I thought, what has this friend of mine gotten me into? And I hadn't really been exposed to people with disabilities at all up until that point. So, sophomore in college, went to a Catholic high school, no kids with disabilities in that school. So anyway, long story short is here's what happened. Sometime in the first week, maybe the following week, I fell in love with those children.
Right.
I mean, I absolutely saw the humanity in them. I saw the need for me to be there. And there's nothing more intimate in our industry than helping somebody go to the bathroom and clean up after themselves.
And it's a daily thing.
Sometimes I would take 3 different kids to the bathroom during the day. And I did that for an entire semester. And I loved it so much. And it made such an impact on me that I thought, I have to really get into this field. I have to find out more about this field. Because these kids really needed all kind of help. They couldn't go to the bathroom by themselves. They couldn't eat by themselves. And they always had an eternal smile on their face. And I was just telling a couple people at this session today that here's my impression of this field. Where else, what other job in this country can you find where you can go to work every day and the people that you're working with love you unconditionally? Where else can you find that? I can't think of another job like it. I mean, I can't think of another position where you go to work and you open the door of the home or the residence or apartment, whatever you're going to, and the people with disabilities that you're working with look at you, smile, and love you unconditionally. They're excited to see you. They'd love to see you. That's what those kids in that school did for me. After that whole experience, I started getting into the idea of working with children with disabilities or adults with disabilities. And I was getting into the field at that time, Dave, right at the time when the state of Ohio Department of Developmental Disabilities was hiring staff off the college campuses to work primarily in their state institutions here in the Columbus area, okay? And friends of mine were going to work in these institutions. So I started working for the state on a contract job at first, but eventually got into a job where my job was as a social worker / case manager, but I was going to institutions and helping people in those institutions leave them and then move into community and move into this new thing called a group home. And now we think about group homes as like, that's the way services are delivered, typically or residential settings. But back in the early 80s, they weren't open at all. They weren't even thought about. But the state was finally saying, it's time for us to move people out of these big box institutions and help them live in the community. And so I got a chance to open a lot of group homes, help a lot of people move from institutions into group homes. And it not only became a career, but it became a passion at that point.
Right.
And so I will always thank those kids at that special school.
It changed your life.
It was life-changing, absolutely. Yeah, life-changing. It's fascinating to see what it did for me. But also, I think I made an impact for those children. I think that I became not only their teachers, but I became their friend. It wasn't just another body in the building. So
That's a great example.
yeah.
Thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Dave.
Now, you're here today because under your name, they're giving away awards.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. So I helped to, in 2004, start the Ohio Alliance for Professionals. When I retired, Bethany Toledo, their executive director, came up with this idea of honoring me at the same time, honoring the DSPs that work in this field by giving out these Tony Thomas Awards.
Right.
We're just on national TV, but we could be.
Well,
Close cash. It was a great honor to be here today, to be part of it, to actually give these awards to all the frontline staff that got them today. That was a special honor for me,
And
for them too. But it was a great honor for me to be here, to be seeing them, honoring their work, honoring their passion, like somebody helped me find my passion a long time ago.
thank you, Tony.
Thanks, Dave.
Thank you for spending time with me.
It's great being here with you. I'm glad to hear you traveling the state and
Me too.
interviewing people. And it's a fun gig, but also helping tell the story about our industry.
Thanks for listening to The Direct Line. If you or your organization would like to be guests on this podcast, please reach out to podcast@oadsp.org. As long as you support people with developmental disabilities, we would love to hear your story. There is no cost, and we come to you.